Hello everyone, welcome to Iditude Media. Today's topic is education still needed in today's world.
There's no need even to have a college degree at all, or even high school. If somebody graduated from a great university, that may be an indication that they will be capable of great things, but it's not necessarily the case. If you look at, say, people like Bill Gates or Larry Ellison, Steve Jobs, these guys didn't graduate from college. But if you had a chance to hire them, of course, that would be a good idea.
My name is Christian Shima. I will be your host for today. We live in the world full of information. Information is everywhere, literally everywhere. When you go to the internet, when you go to ChatGPT, when you go to Google, you can search everything you need, and it is the right place to find information. You can go to Google, you can go to YouTube, you can go to AI tools like ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and other sources of information. Information is everywhere around the internet. And today's topic is why education is still needed, and is education still needed literally? We believe technology is replacing traditional education. Why do we sit in a classroom when we are learning something, when you can learn something online? Why memorizing facts when your phone knows everything? Why do we study from Monday to Friday for 3 hours and going home with no practice? That is an African case.
It's fake education. It's fake teachers. It's been going on for hundreds of years. When the rich took over, there was Rockefellers, Carnegie, Mellon, and they said, we don't need more entrepreneurs, we need more employees. So the purpose of American education is to create soldiers and employees, people who just do as they're told, but know nothing about money.
I was discussing with myself, why did I learn PCM, physics, chemistry, and mathematics? And we all started with cosine, integrals, and I did many calculations. And in reality, you know what? I have never used that. And did you see cosine? Did you see integrals in real life? What I know is counting money. If you give me a task of counting money, I can do that. But for cosine, I have never used that. And I spent a lot of time trying to figure out, trying to excel my sheet. I failed many times. I failed, my dear. I failed, and I tried. I won, but I really didn't. We really do need that. And education have taught me one thing about problem solving, ways of living, discipline, and the way I can live in the society. That is what education gave it to me. And honestly, the truth is, technology gives us information. Education teaches us how to use that.
Through education, you can also better yourselves in other ways. You learn how to think critically and find solutions to unexpected challenges. I remember we used to ask our teachers, why am I going to need algebra? Well, you may not have to solve for X to get a good job or to be a good parent, but you will need to think through tough problems. You'll need to think on your feet. You'll need to know how to gather facts and evaluate information. So, math teachers, you can tell your students that the president says they need algebra.
Literally, the source of money is becoming more vague. For example, like content creation, photography, and other sources of making money like software development. You can study all that online, but you cannot study everything online. For example, when it comes to the treatment of people like doctors, you have to go to school to study that, to study how to treat people. And today's world, you go to class, you start with nursery, then primary, and then secondary school, and after secondary school, you go to the university. And university, you can start bachelor degree, master's, and being a doctor and master of philosophy and other vague of education. And the system is like that. All over the world is like that, and we set the system. But it starts with the European civilization. And to be brief, education is become more popular because everyone is have accessible to the information. But to know the right information that you are looking for, is you have to have that kind of education. And more jobs often becomes more popular, like content creation, like the one that I'm doing right now, software development, videography, photography, content creation, and other sort of making money online is becoming more popular, and it pays a lot of money. For example, when you look at an icon like Speed, Pella, Drewski, and other content creators that you they are making a lot of tons of money. And the problem that I have with my colleagues is education still needed. Sometimes you go to school, sometimes it is not sustainable, like what I can say, but education is really needed. For example, I studied physics, mathematics, and chemistry, and right now I haven't yet used the chemistry as a source of money. And to mean that the education has become the way of decision making, problem solving, the discipline, the culture is being educated in school. That is what we need right now. And the common education that we need is secondary school. For my tech is secondary school. If you want to pursue other disciplines like being a doctor, being a lawyer, you have to go to school for that. But if you don't want that, you can list that school. There is a lot of way of making a living without pursuing the university.
Do bad grades mean that you're dumb? Most people think the answer is yes, but science says the complete opposite. Grades were never designed to measure how smart you are, because all they really do is test how well you can memorize information and follow instructions. A student who studied for 8 hours straight will pass the same test that a genius fails simply because the genius didn't even try. That's not intelligence, that's obedience, which is exactly what the school system was built for. When schools were created during the Industrial Revolution, they weren't trying to make thinkers. They were trying to make factory workers, ones who would show up on time and do what they were told. The entire system rewards you for sitting still and repeating what you hear instead of asking real questions or solving real problems. This explains why some of the smartest people in history were often terrible students. Thomas Edison got kicked out of school at 12 because his teacher said he was too stupid to learn anything. Einstein couldn't read until he was 7, and his teachers called him mentally slow. Bill Gates never finished Harvard. Steve Jobs dropped out of college. Not one of them had the grades, but every one of them changed the world.
Thank you so much for being with us for this minute, and I hope you have a great text about this, and make sure you subscribe. See you next time.